Today, we're going to look at a 2022 study from the Strategic Management Journal. It's titled Artificial Intelligence and the Changing Sources of Competitive Advantage, and it uses the world of chess to understand how AI is really changing what it takes to win. The study starts with a big question that a lot of people are asking. When it comes to AI, does it substitute for human skills, basically replacing them, or does it complement them, opening up new ways for humans and machines to work together? These two ideas, substitution versus complementation, give us very different pictures of how AI could change things. So, to dig into this, researchers turned to competitive chess, using it as a kind of natural experiment. It provides a really clean, controlled environment to see how performance and the skills behind it actually change when you introduce AI into the equation. Now, why chess? Well, unlike a lot of business situations, the rules are fixed, and you can measure a player's ability very consistently. That allows for really direct, clear comparisons of performance under different conditions. The researchers looked at data from 3 different kinds of tournaments, watching how the very same players performed in each one. First, you've got conventional chess, just a human playing against another human. Second is what's called centaur chess, where a human and an AI team up to play against another human-AI pair. And third is engine chess, where the AIs play on their own, but they're still picked, tuned, and managed by humans. To measure a player's traditional chess skill, the study uses the standard ELO rating system. You might have heard of it. It's basically just a number that predicts how strong a player is based on their wins and losses in past tournaments. The higher the ELO rating, the more skilled the player. And this brings us to the first big finding from the study. The researchers wanted to know what happens to the value of traditional human skill when AI steps onto the board. The data shows a really distinct pattern. In a conventional, human-only game, having a higher ELO rating gives you a big advantage. Better players just win more. But as soon as you look at the centaur and engine formats where AI is involved, that advantage all but disappears. A player's traditional chess skill just doesn't predict who's going to win anymore. And to put a number on that, the analysis shows that in a conventional game, being 1 standard deviation better than your opponent in terms of ELO rating is linked to about a 22% higher chance of winning. That's the advantage that vanishes. So what you're seeing is a substitution effect. The pure computational power of the AI engines essentially makes the advantages that come from human cognitive skills, like advanced strategic thinking or pattern recognition, obsolete. But that's only one side of the coin. The study also looked at whether any new sources of competitive advantage pop up to take the place of the old ones. And what the data showed was the rise of what the paper calls human-machine capabilities. These aren't skills for playing chess in the usual sense. Instead, they're about things like choosing the right AI engine for a specific match, fine-tuning its settings, and managing it to go after an opponent's particular weaknesses. This brings up a really key question. Does being a great chess player automatically make you great at managing a chess AI? Are the top grandmasters also the best at this new kind of task? Well, the study's analysis found that the two skill sets are actually unrelated. There was even some evidence of a negative relationship. That means that having a higher traditional chess skill didn't make you better at managing an AI, and in some cases, it might have made you worse. And this isn't a new phenomenon. Here's a quote from Garry Kasparov describing a centaur tournament way back in 2005. He noted that the winners weren't grandmasters, but 2 amateur players who won because of their skill at coaching their computers, which was enough to beat the grandmasters' superior chess knowledge. The paper reinforces this point, noting that the winners of these human-AI tournaments were often not the top-rated chess experts. Instead, there were people like computer science students who had pretty modest official chess ratings, but understood the technology. The necessary skills were coming from outside the traditional domain. So, what can we take away from all this? The study zooms out from the world of chess to think about what this means for business and management in a world where humans and AI are going to be working together more and more. The authors point to 4 main takeaways for organizations. First, AI has this dual effect. It makes some old skills obsolete while creating brand new ones. Second, you can't just assume that an expert in a field will also be an expert at managing an AI in that same field. Third, performance starts to be driven by this new augmentation skill, the ability to work with and guide the AI effectively. And finally, for organizations to stay competitive, they're going to have to identify what these new skills are and start developing them. So, to sum it up, the paper offers this integrated view of substitution and complementation. It argues that AI is the engine for both of these dynamics, and together they are shifting the source of competitive advantage away from traditional human expertise and toward this new type of human-machine collaboration. And that leaves us with a final question to think about in our own work. In your profession, what are the established skills that are being substituted by AI? And perhaps more importantly, what are those new augmentation skills, the skills of coaching the machine, that are just starting to emerge?